Okay, the good news is I got something wrong. I forgot this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, which means we're not scheduled to work this weekend. Um, so no, I will not be here Saturday. Very sorry about that. It's just I've gotten so used to being 2 Saturdays on, one off, 2 Saturdays on, one off, to the point that it's burned into your skull. It's encoded into your DNA. It's tattooed on the back of your nutsack. It's just gotten insane. Ugh. But there's always hope. Like they'll run out of parts again. I'm gonna die laughing when that starts happening again. But yeah, I've been looking at some of the clips, the pictures, and stuff like that for this upcoming episode, and a lot of people I noticed in the comment box are bringing up the same inquiry I brought up in the last, you know, time we get a little vlog we had together, and that is why the hell does Irani suddenly give two shakes of a rat's ass about the doctor? Why this big elaborate plot? Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't even think about holidays anymore, Raj. I just don't. I'm not kidding. It's just you literally have to program your mind to go. Just go in, do the routine, go home, do the routine, go to work, do the routine. I'm like, it's just literally. I'm just happy I make it through the day. It's like I died laughing because there's people in here who get days off for anxiety, and I'm like, I take a pill to come to work every day. Okay, I'm not kidding. Ugh. And then I have Ativan for Saturdays. Okay, I'm not kidding. And you're talking to me about you need days off? And someone goes, "Why don't you just go to medical?" I said, "Yeah, I can go to medical, but it's like, what am I going to say? It's like something that's been bothering me for years. I suddenly can't work today. No, I'm not going to go waste a doctor's time just to get out a day of work. You didn't get your mail. Okay, something finky's going on. The only real time I had a problem with the mails when I had 3 autographs coming from Cardiff, and the Peter Capaldi one magically disappeared. Uh, but I did get Matt Lucas's and Pearl Mackey's, which now I have. Well, like I said, it's a long, complicated story, but I have two by Pearl Mackey. I actually gotten. Um, I still want to thank a lot of people who go out of the way to get me stuff like that. Because I know they're taking time out of their lives and their schedule for an old buffer like me. You know, kindness is one of the reasons. Like I said, I was one of the first people after they announced the doctor, way back when, that I had Jodie Whittaker's signature. So that's what sometimes happens. Plus, I have to be extra watchful because my mailbox is getting on a bit. But all right, so getting back to the big question, yeah, why does Ronnie suddenly give a shit about the doctor and getting revenge on the doctor? Because the Ronnie didn't give a shit about Gallifrey. Matter of fact, as I said yesterday, the Gallifrey, the Gallifrey, the Ronnie would be jumping up and down for joy that Gallifrey is gone. She doesn't have to worry about any other Time Lords poking in on her nonsense. If anything, she should be thanking the doctor. You got rid of all the competition. Nope, I've gone up with this crazy concocted scheme. But like I said, we'll find out more. And like I said, the bi-generation thing to me got old the first time they did it, and then they do it again. It's supposed to be a myth. It's supposed to be rare, and it just happened twice in one season. Well, in two seasons. But I'm like, ugh. Like it was going to fool anybody. Sadly, also, like I said, we had those leaks get out, and so far, this one stretch of leaks, I got to admit, they're betting 1,000. They're bowling a 300 game. so far, everything that I've gotten has come to pass. I can't remember who they said wrote this and put this up, but whoever it is, must have been close to the inside of things. Unless RTD, is leaking it himself. I don't know. It's a beautiful morning. Not too hot, not too cold. Sorry, just getting caught up here on what everybody's saying. But really, I can't figure it out. Why would the Ronnies suddenly give a shit about the doctor? Plus, there's hints this is going to tie back to space babies. This is going to tie back to that. And it's like, please do not tell me that RTD made an overcomplicated plot out of a whole bunch of shit. Or I've even heard one suggestion it was the Ronnie who dropped Ruby Sunday and that other woman had nothing to do with it, really. It was all a gag. I don't know. But there are literally rumors everywhere about everything. And it's crazy, some of the shit I'm reading. It's, ugh. But another thing I noticed today was, they're having entire podcasts now about how bad shows suck and all that. But this has gone on since the beginning of the internet. And I'm sitting here watching this one cast. And it was the drunkard, a couple ladies I don't know, don't give a shit about. And they're all sitting there, and all they can do is trash talk. It's like there's never any positive spin on anything. And I was sitting here while I'm watching this, and I'm like, I would rather watch a podcast by the leading chimps in Chimp Empire, because they would probably make more sense. Their arguments would be probably far more logical. One of the chimps from Chimp Empire flinging feces at the screen would have a more logical point than half the shit they bring up in these arguments they have on here. I'm like, ugh. Now, what is this about the mega tsunami that's building up? Because that's what'll happen if Apophis hits. And I'm liking how everybody's like, well, don't worry, they'll come up with a way to save us. No. NASA is not going to come up with a way to save you. Because NASA is so underfunded now that space is being run by private corporations. We're sending pop stars and our hot mamas up in space capsules. I like that. What were your qualifications to make this ride into space? I'm boning the guy who built it. Well, he didn't build it. He paid you people to build it. It does not matter. Oh my God. Look, I'm getting a couple minutes in near space, and I'm going to sit here and hold up a daisy in my playlist for my latest concert. Like I'm not kidding. I think they were tripping balls. Was it just me, or did it seem like Katy Perry was tripping acid? I'm not kidding, but the more I watch that, the more... Well, yeah, remember, now according to the movies, it was 2150, and if I remember, I think according to, it was like between 2150, 2160, something of the Dalek occupation. So, and also given the fact that, we have to take into account Susan's been living there quite a while, so it could be 160 years after today, after present, which would put it about 2185. So, not beyond comprehension. Yeah, so it's not, outside the realm of possibility that, Susan's either being used, or Susan's just really pissed off that Papa Daddy didn't come back. Or Grandpapa. uh, there have been a lot of big finish, about what happened to Susan and all that, afterward and all that, but at this point, I don't think RTD gives a shit. Okay, I heard nothing about a leak involving Billy Piper being the doctor. Okay, that's not on the list I have. The list I have does not mention Billy Piper. Okay, but that's the one that's betting 1,000. Well, here's the thing. It's very possible to turn anybody into a villain. You have to remember, the best villains are the ones who believe that what they're doing is right. What they're doing, they think is the right. They're not just doing it to be evil. They're doing it because they feel this is the solution, or this is something that's going to benefit them. But like I said, the worst villains think this is what I'm doing for the greater good. Or the best villains are, because they actually believe in their mind that this is going to solve all the problems. That was basically behind the villain I created, which was Jedediah Kane for my own little audio range, because Jedediah Kane believed that Earth was vulnerable. That ever since the Empire became more of a alliance and a more democratic republic, that they had weakened and they were more susceptible to outside threats. And that's why he wanted everything united back into an empire, because he thought under the empire the military was stronger, the defense was stronger, more things were getting done. Kind of like certain other characters that have gone on through history. Yeah, I forgot all about the bone creatures. With everything going on, I did, because we've seen them in the trailers before. So. But hey, Sesame Street's going to Netflix. Oh, I couldn't believe that when I saw that this morning. I'm like, okay, that's something I didn't expect. Ugh. But like I said, I've been seeing these guys on there ranting about how everything's horrible, everything's terrible. Like I said, they're still going on about Last of Us, and it's like, guys, if you had any knowledge of the actual storyline of Last of Us, you knew, all right, spoiler alert, that Joel was going to die early in that story of Last of Us 2. Which means, like I said, I'm enjoying the series, so I don't know what the big deal is, other than the fact they can't handle female leads, which is kind of sad, because they had, you'd think, that we have female members in fan communities, and it's like, you'd think they'd be supporting the female leads, but no. All this is wrong. It's third wave feminism. It's making my boner sag. Oh, God. Ugh. Mind of evil, mind of evil. I know, I'm just picking on it. Sesame Street. I just thought it was funny, of all the things to pick up Sesame Street would be Netflix. But a lot of great things have come out of Sesame Street. But yeah, it's always the patriarchy. My favorite one I ever saw, though, was there was some kind of interview clip, and there's this girl ranting on about misogyny and people being misogynist, and when they asked this young lady to actually define what misogyny was, within minutes she's breaking down, she's crying, she's not saying a word, and then leaves. I'm like, So let me get this straight. You've been throwing this word around like it's a buzzword, and you really had no idea what the hell the definition of it was. Just like America. But okay, that's one of my favorite clips ever. You're having an emotional breakdown because you've been throwing this word around and you really had no idea what the hell it meant. Ugh. But as I said, it's gone crazy out there. I think social media is going to be the ruin of most TV shows because you're never going to satisfy these people. I'm not kidding. Go to some of their channels, and I'm not kidding. Look at their videos, and I bet you can't even count, and use all the fingers on one hand of things they actually liked. But you're right. It is that time again. Thank you for reminding me because I am a bit over. Be kind, be calm, be safe. We'll see you all tomorrow. And no, we are not going to be here Saturday, it turns out. I screwed up on that. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you all tomorrow morning. Have a good day.